Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a card about which I am weirdly excited. Far more excited than I probably should be. But I love me some Delibird. I did the first Christmas celebration video I ever did was Delibird, and it took ages to make and it wasn't that popular, and I don't care. I love Delibird. So today, we're going to be looking at the new Delibird card. Yay! Now, it has been revealed over at the official Pokemon website in Japan. And of course, it has been translated by the lovely David Hochmann. I mean, who else at this point? The answer is we do sometimes use other translators, but David is our favourite. And it's a 90 HP water Pokemon, which means if you're in the expanded format, or if we ever get a reprint, you're going to be able to use Level Ball, which is nice. But it is a basic water Pokemon, so it means that you will be able to use Brooklet Hill if you feel so inclined, and honestly, you probably should. I mean, look, 90 HP is low, but you're weak to metal. You won't be one-hit KO'd by Registeel. Although one thing that is kind of sad is that you will be one-hit KO'd by Duskmane Necrozma's weak attack, and that is always a bonus if you can go and pull that off. Retreat cost of 1 means you do get free retreat with Escape Board, so at least that's a good thing. And being a water Pokemon, I mean, you've already got Brooklet Hill, which I've mentioned. You've got Aqua Patch to accelerate energy, that you shouldn't really need to, but it's there if you feel so inclined. And then you're hitting weakness on some fire Pokemon like Turtonator, but then not all of them because Ho-Oh, so it's not great in that respect. But you see, Delibird has got a really good attack, and it's a basic Pokemon that's easily searched for 1 colourless energy. And you don't get much easier to use than basic Pokemon 1 colourless energy. Yes, Alolan Vulpix comes in with a 1 colourless energy, how about 0? Alolan Vulpix is the exception. When it comes to just whacking a card in a deck, basic Pokemon 1 colourless energy is about the best for which you can hope. And it's really quite good, according to David. Choose as many bench Pokemon without a tool card attached to them as you like. Search your deck for as many tool cards and attach them to the chosen Pokemon 1 card at a time. Now, I have double checked this with David. It is only 1 Pokemon tool per Pokemon, which is extremely important for Sigilyph. More on that in a moment. So essentially, any of your Pokemon that doesn't have a tool attached, you can get a tool attached to them. And there are several good and a couple of bad things about this. Now, first of all, you just get all of your tools attached. It means you can go and search for all of your choice band and get them on there. It means that if you're playing stuff like a skateboard, you can get them on there. It means you can go and search for all your wishful baton, so that if your opponent KOs any of your Pokemon, they've got a wishful baton attached to them. Getting tools out here is awesome. And I don't think there's any argument against that. The downside about this, and it is a significant downside, your opponent can play a field blower. Because you see, this is an attack. And when you use it as an attack, you attach all the tools, you pass the turn over to your opponent. Meaning that before you ever get the benefit of any of these tools, your opponent has a turn or two to play field blower and get rid of them. Having said that, you could always toy with your opponent and maybe be playing Garbodor, try and bait your opponent into playing a field blower to get 1 extra item in their discard, because maybe 1 more will give you the number. So that could be kind of fun. But generally speaking, right, before we get too deep into this, I've got to mention that you are giving your opponent a chance to get rid of them. Now, in the expanded format, and we are going to talk a bit more expanded than we usually do here, we've of course got Startling Megaphone. Now, that is very much better against Pokemon tools, because it discards all Pokemon tools from all of your opponent's Pokemon, rather than just the 2 that Field Blower does. But then again, Field Blower does stadiums as well, so that's why even in Expanded you rarely see Startling Megaphone seeing really any play whatsoever, because generally speaking, Field Blower does a little bit more, to be perfectly honest with you. So even in Expanded, you're unlikely to be facing off against a startling megaphone disaster scenario, but that doesn't mean you're not going to end up in some stickier situations than you might like. So let's just assume that you don't get screwed over by Field Blower. This is really, really cool. Because it means, first of all, you're getting all your tools out, but don't forget that you're thinning out your deck here. So let's say you've got 5 Pokemon on your bench, none of them have a tool. You search your deck for 5 tools, you attach them, you've now got 5 fewer cards in your deck. So maybe you really want to draw into a Cynthia to get a new hand, or maybe you really want to draw into a double colourless energy so that you can attack. What you're actually doing here is taking cards out of your deck, which means there are fewer total cards in your deck, which means the ratio of cards you want to cards you don't is higher, meaning you are more likely to draw into the cards you want to draw into, and less likely to draw into cards that you don't want to draw into. That's really cool. But if we move into the expanded format here, there are a couple of really, really cool uses. First of all, Garboda. Now that's rotating out of standard, but given that we've actually had pretty much the same card twice, I wouldn't rule out the possibility of it coming around again in the future. And what's really cool about this is that you get to attach a tool at the end of your turn. So essentially here, at the end of your turn, you attach a tool to Garboda, and then your opponent is ability locked going into their turn. And sure, maybe they have a Field Blower, but maybe they don't. And if you're ability locking them, that means no Zoroark, it means no Octillery, it means no Tapu Lele, it means that even though they can play a Field Blower to get rid of your tools, they are less likely to do so. And I do think, as a side note, Delibird is much better in an ability lock deck, because if your opponent's got free reign of their deck, they probably will just get rid of them. But if you can get rid of this, or maybe even use something like a Seismitoad or a Trevenant to block item cards, then maybe you can get these to stick just a little bit longer. So Garboda is a cool use here. You could even go proper pro move here and search out a Bursting Balloon, attach it to Garboda to ability lock your opponent, and then as it comes into your turn, the Bursting Balloon falls off and you do have your abilities. Of course, if you're doing this, you're not really doing any real attacking. That is a problem, but you can't have it all. But how about Trubbish here? That's kind of cool, right? Trubbish has got Tool Drop, and again, this is an expanded only, whereby you do 20 damage for each Pokemon tool attached to all Pokemon in play. So you can use this here to search out up to 5 Pokemon tool. Heck, if you're playing a Skyfield here, you could use it to search up to 8 Pokemon tools and attach them to get them all on the field. Although, of course, this is kind of like I was saying before. If your opponent gets rid of Skyfield, you then lose all of those tools, and that kind of sucks. Well, you gotta put 3 Pokemon in the discard because you go down from a bench of 8 to a bench of 3 and you lose all the tools on them. Still kind of sucks. But it's kind of fun. Although this is where Sigilyph comes in here. You can only attach 1 to each Sigilyph because that can have 4 Pokemon tools. And while we're here, don't forget the Genesect GX is coming in the next set. And that can have 2 Pokemon tool cards attached to it. So that's another time you would rue not being able to attach multiple. And yes, you are vulnerable to Field Blower, Startling Megaphone. Yes, the best uses of cards in Expanded, but it's a card, it's an attack that's really got a lot of potential, and it is the kind of card that might be better in the future. We don't know what Pokemon tools are coming around, and let's face it, we are expecting Field Blower to rotate out in September 2019. And yes, fine, we'll have Faber at that point, but Faber's a supporter card. If we don't have ways to get rid of Pokemon tools, or not good ways, which at the moment we don't as of next September, Delibird gets way better. Now as for the other attack, 30 damage for 2 energy, no. Even though you can use double colourless energy, even though it's 120 with choice band and weakness, no, this attack sucks. There is only one reason to play Delibird, and it's the first attack, which is a great attack. And yes, it's better in Expanded, and yes, it will be better when Field Blower rotates out, assuming we don't have a replacement. But it's one of these that you've always got to keep in mind, because you never know when a new tool, new deck, new whatever is coming out, which will take advantage of it. And as far as I'm concerned, that makes it a free WASI card. I quite like it. But maybe you don't like it. Maybe you think it's too awkward. Maybe you think it'll never stick. Great news. There's a comment section. Do go nuts, but do make sure to be nice. That is very important. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the WASI, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.